Good evening and welcome to Daily Politics and Trust TV, your hub for a robust conversation on politics, policy and governance. I am Shafi'u Suleiman. Tonight, we delve into the escalating insecurity in the Northwest, where a retired Brigadier General and a former Director General of the National Youth Service Corps NYSC Maharazu Ziga was kidnapped, along with 9 other persons, at his residence in Tiga, Bakori local government area of Katsina State. Now, the abduction of the general, which took place on Wednesday night, has sent shockwaves across vulnerable communities in Katsina State, a hotbed for banditry and kidnappings, as it raises questions about the safety of the traumatized citizens of not only Katsina State, but other contiguous states of Zamfara, Sokoto, Kebbi, Niger, and Kaduna. Now, on Daily Politics tonight, we ask, who is safe after the abduction of the retired Army General? And to help us find answers, we have in the studio Dr. Musa Salmanu, a retired wing commander in the Nigerian Air Force. And afterwards, we'll also be taking a look at a proposed policy shift from the existing 6334 to 124 in the education sector by the Bola Tinubu administration, and what it means for the nation's disturbing indices, especially that of out-of-school children. A professor of policy analysis, Hussein Tukur, will join us on the platform to analyze the proposal. And viewers, you also, as it is with the tradition of the program, and get the opportunity to make your inputs on the program tonight. Thank you all for joining the conversation. But before we commence the discussion proper, here are some top issues in the polity. 1 person has been reportedly killed while 6 others are hospitalized following Lakurawa terrorist attack at Gulma community in Argungu local government area of Kebbi State. While speaking to our correspondent, Chairman of Argungu local government, Aliyu Sani Gulma, said the terrorists attacked the village around 11 p.m. on Thursday, while residents of the community were sleeping. And still talking security, government suspected to be bandits have abducted several worshippers from a mosque in Boucher community, Sabon local government area of Sokoto State. The suspected bandits stormed the mosque at dawn on Thursday while worshippers were performing their early morning Subhi prayer. And to start the conversation, let's take a short break. We'll be back shortly. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us on Daily Politics. And just like I said earlier, our first talking point is, of course, looking at the escalating insecurity, especially the kidnapping of a general. We ask the question, who is safe? And right here in the studio, I have already Dr. Musa Salmanu, a retired wing commander with the Nigerian Air Force. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you so much. Good evening, viewers.
Right. Before you came in, largely, built a background along the kidnapping of this general, retired General Maharazu Ziga, and also subsequently read some stories, the disturbing stories around the escalation of insecurity, especially in the Northwest. One has to do with the attack by Lakurawa in Kebbi, and the other has to do with the kidnapping on worshippers, of worshippers, also in Birning, Sabon local government, that is in Katsina. States, in the Northwest are largely affected by these kidnappings and banditry and so on. And, it revolves around. But let me get your reaction to the abduction of the retired Brigadier General Maharazu Ziga. How does it sound to you as a military officer?
Well, first of all, every kidnap of anyone is unfortunate, and it's something that you wish never happened in the first place, and you wish that if it does happen, that it is resolved as quick as possible, and the people that are kidnapped are rescued, and those that perpetrated the kidnapping are eliminated. So even in this case, as unfortunate as it is, you find out that it's not only the general that was kidnapped. Actually, they came to the village, as it's been reported, and kind of rounded up as many people as possible. It's reported in some places.
Even though it seems the target is actually the general,
yes.
Because according to the the locals, over almost 100 of those bandits surrounded his
residence. So, and this has been the, if you speak with people that come from those localities, the local governments and the villages surrounding Katsina generally, you find out that this has been the modus operandi. They have informants, and when a lot of them couldn't travel to their villages, to their hometowns, because of these incidences. Because they have informants, the moment you pass, they're aware that you are around, anybody that is VIP or somebody, and they immediately organize and come to attack, to kidnap that person, or the number of people. So in this case, it's very unfortunate, and it shows the vulnerability of everyone else. And jokingly, or somehow in my circles, I used to speak that sometimes we think, especially, and this is a call to all of us that are supposedly in the elite club, that the bubbles of security that we have around us are not enough, or the silos of security that we create around us, and to feel relative security, those bubbles are not enough, and they do not serve the greater good. It is in the interest of everyone that security is dispensed to everyone, so that at the end of the day, if one person, no matter how lowly placed he is in the society, is not secured, then every one of us is not secured. And if we feel we are secured, and now it's just a kind of, it's an illusion that this insecurity will eventually consume all of us.
Even though in his case, I understand he has security operatives attached to him, about 3 of them or so, but he allowed them told them to go back to the barracks based on the account I read. He was actually alone at the point.
So this is what I'm talking about, the silos of security, or the bubbles of security that we are creating around us. Yes, unfortunate situation. The general, yes, he has, I'm sure the location there, aware that he is coming around, and also what he's entitled to as a retired brigadier general, for example. So he has that personal security within, but as it has shown that when things like this do happen, that it is in the interest of all of us that the entire village is secured. Not only the individual within the village, or one individual or two within the village.
That would have, reduced or minimized the
and at the end of the day, you find out that if the 100 of them came versus 3 of his, even if they were there, 3 of his. So at the end of the day, what will have happened is that they are more likely going to overpower his own, and because of that, the incidents or the casualty will have been higher. So at the end of the day, it's more of being proactive than waiting, or than when the incidents happen, then we are going to prevent it from escalating higher.
Okay, looking at Katsina, of recent, there has been quite a number of, incidences, despite the fact that there is this claim by the authorities that the impact of the banditry or the kidnappings, has reduced drastically. Not only in Katsina, the military high authorities and of course the ministers of defense, have been saying that, with the recent push, if you like, or relocation, if you like, at some point of even the military chiefs, there has been some level of, successes recorded. Just recently, there was an encounter, according to them, with the bandits, and quite a number of them were taken out, including the son of one of the notorious leaders, Turji, and so on. But the reality is that nothing much has been changed, has changed rather, since despite these claims.
So, it will be unfair to say that there are no successes that have been recorded. However, I think those successes must be situated within the context of the reality that has been there, or the level of insecurity that has been there in the Northwest region as a whole, but in some specific states within the Northwest region. If you take away perhaps Kano State and maybe part of Kaduna, you find out that a stretch starting from, Kano and Jigawa, if you take away that, you find out that a stretch from Katsina, parts of Kaduna, Zamfara, Sokoto, and maybe you say Kebbi, if not now that things are beginning to rise a bit.
The presence of the Lakurawas.
Yes, so you find out that we have, since about 2019, have been in a situation whereby year in, year out, the situations could calm down or reduce a bit, but it picks up. I give you an example. There was quite a lot of advance made in 2022, for example, but the numbers began to pick up in 2020. In 2022 it was bad. 2023 it improved, but in 2024 it started escalating up to certain stage, and that is what we're seeing. Beginning of this year, ending last year, beginning of this year, you have incidences here and there. However, progress were being made. Now, relative progress is made compared to what it was in the past. Yes, there have been some level of progress, but you can find out that these are incidences that are showing that perhaps we're getting back to where we were, whether it is in the Northeast or now even in the Northwest, that things are picking up.
Right, because if you look at these incidences, the 3 major incidences happen within a space of 24 hours or 48 hours maximum. The kidnapping of the general and others, the attack on the Lakurawa attacks on Argungu community, killing people and so on, and then the abduction, of worshippers in Sokoto again. All of this happened within about 48 hours. Doesn't this shows that there's a significant problem, in terms of dealing with the situation? If these non-state actors have the capacity to launch these attacks, almost simultaneously.
So you have to understand that there are more than 24, 25, depending on who is counting, up to about 30 groups operating under the various leaderships, operating under various modus operandi, and those that are focusing on certain areas, some of them fighting among themselves and so on. Now, it's an ecosystem that is fed with, based on counts here and there, about 30,000 and more and counting people, and that the recruitment keeps going in, day out. So we have to understand the magnitude and the spread of the problem first. Now, that is almost like we counted earlier on, a large portion of the Northwest that is having this issue. And now these people, even if they are not connected directly, get encouraged by the successes of like-minded groups elsewhere. So when they hear, like you said, in the last 24 hours, you're listing 24 items. They listen to the news, they hear that there is success achieved here, there are no consequences, they find out what was the response, it was not prompt, and so on and so on. So it encourages another group somewhere to also, they have seen the graph, they have seen lapses here and there, and so they want to exploit every situation, because they know that when there is an incident that happens in a particular place, for example, it happens in Katsina, then all the resources, or most of the resources, is pivoted towards Katsina and the surrounding environs. So they know that they have a field play I mean, a free field here in the other parts. So it is a mind game that they play, if I'll put it that way. And because they are in a way related or closely observing each other. So don't be surprised that these incidences are going to happen, are going to escalate because of the successes.
So is it to say that they are beating the security forces on the game? Because if perhaps there is proper coordination, you know, you're talking about different operations taking place simultaneously across the states, you know, and different components, you know, of the forces. You have the aerial, I mean, the air component, you have the troops, ground troops, and so on. And then even with the support of the local vigilantes and so on and so forth. Yes, there was some sort of pressure on the bandits in Zamfara just last week or so that led to that success that was celebrated. But yet, we're now beginning to see escalation, moving into Kebbi, moving into Katsina, and so on. What do you make up with the level of, you know, collaboration and the level of synergy, you know, in terms of dealing with this problem?
Definitely there are gaps, just like you'll expect when there is intensity of operations or this type of operations where it's multi-agencies, and you find out that there are usually gaps, and especially in this situation whereby the coordination, like we had in the case of the last strikes in Zamfara and the rest, that coordination becomes a problem. However, from where we are coming from, there has been remarkable improvement. But are we there yet? No. There are multiple players in the theater, just like you alluded to. And we have to get that act of coordination right. And also to know that the use of technology that ensures that you can strike Katsina, that's the extreme from Katsina, and within seconds you can redirect those platforms to say Zamfara or Kebbi, and so on and so forth. But all that needs a kind of fusion center where all this intelligence are gathered, and the most important is stopping them before they do actually happen. Intelligence that is able to predict, yes, that is able to predict and be preemptive. Because once it happens, then you're doing a catch-up. And whenever you're doing catch-up, it becomes more difficult because then the situation changes. They are now in the midst of civilians. They are using humans as, I mean, those kidnapped as human shields. And so your latitude or your leverage that you have is being, you know, is being narrowed. And the latitude that, or the level of, I mean, leverage or latitude that you can strike, say, targets and so on, is reduced because of that fear that you might be striking the wrong targets, you might be striking in civilian, where hostages are being kept, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, what about the response? Because there has been this concern, you know, looking at the nature of the abduction of the general now. The locals, you know, also complained that they've been raising alarm, calling the authorities, you know, the relevant authorities to alert them that this is happening here. But there wasn't any response until these people are taken away, including the general. I understand they are demanding for about 250 million for ransom or so. Now, what do you make up with the level of response? Is it that there is deficit in terms of boots on ground? And how can that be augmented? We're talking about 21st century, you know, kind of defense architecture that leverage technology, as you rightly said. So where is the problem?
So the fact is that response timing has been very poor. Because when a situation happens, when an incident happens, the first 30 minutes or even faster, the first 10, 20 to 30 minutes are very, very important. Up to 1 hour are very important, because that means then you can, you know, kind of cycle and say, okay, if they are on foot, this is the longest or farthest they will have gone, whichever direction they are. If they are on, because if you're kidnapping such a number of people, if they came 100, so that means they are on motorcycles. For example, if they are on motorcycles,
and their presence can easily be detected.
The presence can be. So what happens is that sometimes we actually, those platforms that can do that are highly centralized. Sometimes we have over-centralization also. So we have to look at the issue of use of drones and air platforms. How well can we disperse them so that they are able to react real time on time? Because once that has happened, it has the best the foot soldiers can do, for example, is to show the direction. They follow this way. Because the type of vehicles are those that cannot go into those bushes.
Areas.
If they are following them on foot, they might not be able to get there, and so on. So the response timing is something that has to be improved on. The use of technology, because it's only technology that will have been, if we had, say, infrared, that gadgets that can able to show us, even if it's night vision goggles, for example, that can able to show wherever they are, even in the night and so on. So it becomes easier for them to be identified. So there is need for improved response, and this could be in terms of logistics. This could be by air platforms. It could be by types of vehicles, or even machines that can be operated in that.
I was actually about coming to that, because there was this initiative, and substantially it worked, along the Kaduna-Abuja Expressway, quite a number of us have been flying that route. The introduction of, motorcycles,
yes,
military personnel on motorcycles substantially has helped in dealing with this problem, because they have the same kind of logistics,
yes,
because of the terrain. And they were able to chase these guys, right into the bush. And at some point, again, another initiative. I don't know why sometimes we relax on some of these things. I understand at that point also, part of the reason why the military was able to succeed was the fact that they took the fight, to the bandits into the bush. They don't give them a breathing space. So you don't even they can't even have the time to come to the highways. So why is this not being replicated, in those terrains?
So, and here I cannot speak on behalf of the military itself and so on. But what my let's say is that, as we all know, the military is widespread. And even though we have come, this is something we've been doing since 2009. So it's unfair to say that we have not understand the nature of the warfare. The nature of the warfare has been understood. A lot of studies, a lot of lessons learned have been done, and so on and so forth. And there are even instances or incidences of good examples like what you're showing. What I think is the problem is just the sheer number or the sheer geography, that's in terms of space now, that needs to be covered. It's wide. The numbers, we just don't have the numbers that can cover that. And the right thing would have been, okay, to just like states are doing, to come up with alternative or symbiotic or kind of state level responses in terms of what Katsina just launched just last year, Zamfara launched, Kaduna has been having Kadvis and the rest, and most of those states have one platform or the other, security outfit or the other. I think what needs to do is to kind of multiply these numbers. There is nothing that can replace boots on the ground. No technology does that. At the end of the day, technology
even robotics. Other clients have developed beyond human. We have the robotics work.
Technology is a force multiplier. It's not a replacement for the force itself. So what you need to have a certain level, then more technology replies or multiplies that. So until we get to that level, whether it is the military, the police, the other security outfits and so on, let's train them to a certain level whereby they can fill those gaps, while military concentrate on its recruitments and training and so on and so forth, and improve on technology. Or the use of technology.
Lastly, because we're rounding up on this conversation, how do we extract accountability now? Because it is these attacks are coming on the heels of concerns around the budgeting. Over 4.5 trillion naira was budgeted for security in 2025. Again, just recently, the Minister of Defense was telling Nigerians that Mr. President extracted a commitment from them. When he asked them, when are they going to end this? And they said they're going to end it before
December 2025.
So how can we extract accountability?
Well, the extracting accountability is always the way everybody that is given responsibility must act on that responsibility, or else something is done. It could be from changing people to sacking people. Until that is done, and is good, a lot of people are trying. Yes, there's no doubt about there's a lot of trying. But 1, 2, 3...
there's need for some shake-ups.
Yes, once in a while, people need to be shaken up, and once in a while, people need to be shown the way out so that new thinking comes in, new ideas come in,
and renewed vigor.
Continuously, we have the people that can do this. It doesn't matter how many times you change, at what level, and now I'm not talking about just at the top level. Yeah. I'm talking even those that have the responsibility within the services. Yeah. Is it the military, is it the police, or whatever? You kick people around, you change people, you relieve people of their commands and responsibilities. Once this is, and it doesn't matter how many times that is done. Right. If somebody does something today and he gets it wrong 2, 3 times, even if it's within a week, change him.
Right. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Musa Salmanu, retired wing commander, for your informed perspectives. We really appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
And viewers, we take a short break, and we return. We commence the second segment of the program with the policy shift in the education sector, where the federal government is proposing what they call the 12-3 model. Currently Nigeria is operating the 6-3-3 model, meaning 6 years for primary school, 3 years for basic education, that is junior secondary, another 3 years for senior education, and then 4 years for tertiary institutions. And so we'll take a look at that when we return from the break. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Thank you very much for joining, for staying with us on Daily Politics. You can do well by joining us across all our media platforms in case you miss any part of the show. And before we delve into the policy shift in the education sector, I understand we're now joined by CSP Gambo Issa. We've been trying to link up with him earlier, but for the technology. He's the Police Public Relations Officer in Katsina State. He joined us now via phone to give us an update in respect to the kidnap of the retired military general and, of course, other people in Tsiga. Thank you very much, CSP Gambo, for joining us.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm DSP Abakar Sadiq Ali, the Public Relations Officer at Katsina State Police Command Headquarters.
Okay, thank you for the correction. DSP Abakar, thank you very much for joining us. Can you give us an update in respect to the incident that happened in Tsiga, the kidnapping of a retired Brigadier General Maroz Tsiga and other people? What is the update? Has the police been able to track these assailants?
Currently, the command, in collaboration with the military and all of the sister security agencies in the command, are actively pursuing all leads as the investigation proceeds, with a view to rescuing the kidnapped victims on hot and arresting the perpetrators.
Okay, so what's the situation like in Tsiga and other vulnerable communities in Katsina? What was what led to this incident? Because it has been happening anyway, but what led to this?
Generally, there has been significant improvement in terms of the overall security in Katsina State. However, we do witness isolated cases such as the incident at Tsiga, the incident in view currently, and we are actively strategizing and on top of our game to ensure that we decimate the activities of these criminals in the state.
Right. Has there been
so far the security situation at Tsiga is relatively calm, and all other local government areas.
Yeah. Has there been a communication? Has communication line opened between the bandits and perhaps the family or the authorities there?